Hey everyone, before we start things off, I should point out this is another Lionsgate film. In other words, these are the people who famously issued a copyright strike against their own YouTube channel. So I wasn't able to do the whole usual screen capture pan over thing that I normally do with these. But don't worry, I think I found the next best thing. Okay, on with the show. Okay, so Uncle Drew is a movie based on a series of Pepsi Max commercials that featured Kyrie Irving as Uncle Drew, the greatest street ball player to ever play. So good, in fact, that when they say he actually broke someone's ankles, he really did break someone's ankles once. Um, this film's kind of weird in its opening, and it's kind of the way it's done, because at the beginning you see this tagline for the ESPN 30 for 30, and because of that, it's like it seems like like it's some weird made-for-TV documentary, but then it sort of stops, and it's like, okay, did it stop being? It's like for 5 minutes, it's a 30 for 30 documentary, and then it just kind of goes straight into the story itself, which is again doesn't make any sense because the 30 for 30 movies are usually like an hour long tops. Well, maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours sometimes, but yeah, more often than not they're an hour long. And yeah, I know they have a few shorts here and there, but even those are like, about half an hour. So what's going on? Like, anyway, the film circles around a guy named Dax, played by Little Rel Howery. Little Ray. I, I know he's the sidekick from Get Out. Okay, that's about the best I know him as. But he plays a guy named Dax Winslow, who basically he came up. He was raised in an orphanage. He was never adopted, but he grew up wanting to play basketball, and he led his youth team to an important game. But then suddenly, when he needed to take a big shot, he got blocked by a white guy named Mookie Betts. And Mookie has since gone on to win 7 of the last 8 Rucker Classics. Now, the backstory with Uncle Drew is, like I said, Drew was the greatest street ball player of all time, and he had a team, and they were in the inaugural Rucker Classic in 1968. But before the finals could be played, something happened, possibly that he slept with the girlfriend of one of his teammates, and the team basically broke up and never played in the finals. So basically, these two guys come together. Another subplot is, like I said, Dax is trying to assemble his own team to win the Rucker. He has this gold digging girlfriend named Jess that, yeah, like, he sort of says, we'll win the $100,000 purse for the Rucker, and then we'll be able to raise a family. But she only cares about like getting fancy clothes and a Tesla, which Teslas cost a little bit more than $100,000. So I don't know how well that would really work for you. But like I said, she's kind of this gold digger, and he has a player named Casper, played by Aaron Gordon, and he's clearly like the next best thing in New York. And Casper winds up scamming a bunch of very expensive shoes from Dax because Dax works at Foot Locker, and then he winds up joining the team of Mookie, the guy who blocked Dax's shot, and he's played by Nick Kroll. And yeah, so Dax has to go out and assemble a team as sort of a revenge, and he hears from his barber about Uncle Drew, and just happens to come across him schooling a guy on the basketball court. Drew says, I'll join your team, but only if you let me pick the rest of the guys. And it's my old team. And that consists of, I got the lineup right here. It's, okay, Preacher, played by Chris Webber. And there's also Betty Lou, Preacher's wife, played by Lisa Leslie. Big Fella, played by Shaquille O'Neal. Lights, played by Reggie Miller, who in the joke is with him, he's incredibly nearsighted. He's not blind. Legally, he is blind, but he's not actually blind. And then there's Boots, played by Nate McMillan. And his story arc is he's basically been catatonic since he left his lucky Chuck Taylor All-Stars. And his granddaughter is taking care of him, and it's Maya, and she becomes Dax's new love interest as this goes on. There's also one more bit of history, which is Big Fella is the guy who Drew stole his girlfriend for one night. It's later revealed that Big Fella put it aside long enough to marry her, and she later passed away, and Drew has never apologized for sleeping with her. So that's caused some friction. Basically, Big Fella only agrees to be with the team in order for Drew to... basically, the offer is he could do anything to Drew afterwards. But eventually Drew does apologize, and they kind of patch things up. So there isn't too much that actually comes of that. But, you know, they form the team, they go to the Rucker. They start out a little slow, but... Lights gets fixed because he gets better goggles to see the hoop with. Boots comes out of his catatonic state and starts playing basketball again. And yeah, Betty Lou shows up eventually later on. Basically the arc with Preacher is Betty Lou does not want him to participate, but and she starts tailing them and chasing them in a giant SUV and trying to wrangle Preacher back in. But then something happens, which I'll get to. But, you know, the tournament kind of plays out. They win, they get to the semifinals, and Big Fella has a heart attack. So Betty Lou steps up to replace him. The finals comes, and of course they're facing Mookie's team. And basically the idea with... this is where I'm going to jump back into Dax's arc. His arc is... he's sort of had this love-hate relationship with basketball. He's never really played it since the shot got blocked because it came at this big moment in the game and like no one like consoled him afterwards. They basically just left him alone, and he sort of took that very personally. And Drew basically accuses him of saying, "You're only in this for the money." He says, "No, I loved basketball, but it never loved me back." And Drew basically says, look, you're going to need to face your demons at some point, and that's the only way you're going to do that. Now, next time, be honest with us. A lot of this kind of comes through with the, be honest with us. Like, there's a scene earlier in the film where the team is playing a scrimmage against a middle school girls basketball team. It's really that Dax is trying to hustle the team so they can get some gas money. It's like, you know, you could have just come to us and we would have paid for your gas to gas up the car. Like, you know, we're not that, it's like we're not that poor. Yeah, the other thing is, Drew, basically he makes a living going from street court to street court, schooling the younger generation. He lives only in this van with an 8-track player. And he only plays, like, soul hits and funk hits from the 60s and 70s. He even includes playing the song that Notorious B.I.G. later sampled for Big Papa, and so he starts it starts playing on the 8-track, and Dax starts thinking it's a Big Papa. So there's kind of a funny point in that. There's also another funny point during the championship game where they have to point out to Chris Webber that there are no timeouts left, so he can't call anything. That's kind of the only other like really funny part of the movie. Well, there's one other part. Nick Kroll as Mookie is really funny because you can tell he's just kind of hamming it up. There's a scene where it's like he wants to get his revenge on, or he wants to get into Dax's head, so he literally just mimics all of Dax's moves. So you get both of them just kind of playing off of each other. Kyrie Irving as Uncle Drew is fine. He's not an actor. Like, obviously, most of the basketball players are not actors. I mean, the only one who's really been in a lot of films is Shaq. And even then, he's just playing Shaq, so there's no real acting stretches in this. But, like I said, overall the film is not terrible, but it's pretty by the numbers. It's not spectacular. You have shock of shocks. When they get to the final game, yeah, they struggle a little bit early on. They're down 44 to 60 at the half. They rally back, and in the fourth quarter, they're down by 2 points. And Lights chases down Casper and results in both of them getting hurt. So now Mookie and Dax have to enter the game. Mookie makes an initial basket to put the team up 4, but then I think Preacher makes a basket to cut the lead to 2, and then Dax steals the ball from Mookie, comes down to the final shot, and he obviously makes it, and they win the Rucker, and Dax couples up with Maya. Jess dumps Dax like as soon as Casper, the great player, leaves him for Mookie's team. She then winds up hooking up with Mookie. But after that, there's kind of a couple funny scenes where they visit a big fellow in the hospital, and we got some cutbacks to him in the hospital because at one point, like, he tries to turn on the TV to watch it, it's not working, so he gets up and he starts looking around for a TV. Like, yeah, the dude had a heart attack. He really shouldn't be doing that. And there's another point afterwards where he sort of jokes around with, Dax a little bit, like, "Hey man, I'm here to, I'm here for you, and we won." He's like, "Yeah, I know." And he just starts playing with the bed, raising it up and down and up and down and up and down again, and again, that's just kind of, and then also because Dax had basically stole these shoes from Foot Locker. They were like these high-end Nikes. They weren't Jordans, but they were kind of up there. And Dax basically says, "Oh yeah, I got you some, man." And he buys it for the whole team, and then he doesn't have the money, so Jess has to cover up the other half of the shoes. And like I said, he basically steals them because he charges way too much to his employee discount and stuff like that. And after that, he finds out that Mookie basically took the team away from him, and he starts trying to steal the shoes back, and the video goes viral and winds up on SportsCenter. And then later, when after they win the tournament, he winds up on SportsCenter again, but in a positive light, and that's basically how the film ends. Like I said, the film is not terrible. It's pretty by the numbers, though. It's not spectacular. It's not going to set. I mean, it's already not setting the box office on fire from what I've seen. But yeah, it's fairly entertaining if you like sports movies. So overall, I would probably just give it a C. I mean, like I said, I would put it as like a high C, like maybe a C plus. I would put it more into like an Ocean's 8 C rather than man, I'm trying to think what else I gave I would say I would put it ahead of something like Red Sparrow or where I just thought it was a bit of a downer towards the end. This is a bit more of an enjoyable C.
The tragic loss of Buffy's mother brought family and friends together in an episode TV guide called One of the Finest Hours of Television Ever.
Mommy.
Now,
and give her peace.
Remembrance of things past will break their innocence and shake their faith.
I have to do these things because when I stop, she's really gone.
David Boreanaz returns, a special all-new Buffy.
Okay, trailer time. Nothing really new here. It's all the same. We had Whitney again, Mission Impossible Fallout again, Unfriended Dark Web. I don't know if I had this one before or not. I've seen the trailer on YouTube a bunch of times, so maybe I just kind of thought it fell in at some point. But anyway, after that we had Skyscraper again, Spy Who Dumped Me again, and The Meg again. So that kind of rounds things off. Okay, so Next video should be the review for Ant-Man and the Wasp that comes out next Friday. After that, after that will be the random trade review on Abyss. See, next movie after Ant-Man and the Wasp will probably be Skyscraper. Hotel Transylvania 3 comes out that same day. I just don't know if I want to. I'm kind of leaning more towards Skyscraper in that sense. See you all next time. Hey guys, is there a movie you want me to tackle? Even if it's some stinker like Baywatch or the Emoji Movie or something else? Check out my Patreon at Sleepy Time for Cat Productions. See how you can make that happen.